Hello, plebs. I thought this was overdue because this was announced a while back now, but I haven't actually made any comments on it. Apart from I briefly mentioned it in my, Dead by Daylight versus Identity 5, comparison, part 2 of it, but I haven't really actually commented on this new mechanic yet in an official way. Let me find my notes on it. Okay. Uh, so the endgame collapse. We all know what it is. They open the gates. Well, we killers can now open the gates, and survivors have 3 minutes to get the hell out or they die. It's that. Fun fact. I have a few things to say on it, because I'm very interested in it. Because I can't tell what... okay, I'm interested in it because I know it's a good thing for us, for killers. I say us, because I mostly play killer. I play both, though. It's definitely a good thing for killers, but, like, I can't tell, like, why yet. Like, obviously, it makes every single killer better late game, and if they get downs, it's like... Well, it's interesting, because, like, I can't tell if this is something that killers are supposed to devote themselves to, like, making a build around yet, or if this is something that's supposed to be, like, a crutch to, like, if, like, the game kind of got out of our control, and, you know, well, we're gonna salvage and get one or two sacks, just cuz. Because, like, basically what this does is it makes every down you get after the exit gate is open, like, next to impossible to stop the sacrifice of. Especially if you have no one escapes death on. But, like, so, like, I honestly can't tell what their idea was with it. I just know it's a good thing, because it's gonna benefit killers immensely. Either way. No matter what they're going for. Because, like, I was thinking about it, there's a lot of stuff in the game that, like, you could, like, make a build around to center around the endgame collapse. Like, for example, Blood Warden, obviously, everyone's thinking about that one. If you get it down, usually with no ed, the gates are blocked and survivors can't leave yet. So, like, that's obviously going to be an undisputed much better perk now that the endgame collapse is a thing than it is right now. Because it's like, oh, yeah, he got Blood Warden activated. Like, first of all, nobody really wants Blood Warden because as like, yeah, it's good, but, like, it's not something you really run, because you need other things that are more important than it. But if you're making a build that centers around the endgame collapse, like, Noed, you'd be running Hex Thrill of the Hunt, so you could, like, keep an eye on your dull totems to make sure you protect Noed, and if destroying Noed's gonna be, like, such a huge part of the game now. Like, it's not a choice anymore, because, like, before late game happens, the killer didn't have any momentum, and then Noed kicks in and they get, like, a down with it. It's like, oh, we have time to destroy Noed because he's gotten, like, one down other than this. So, we have time to find Noed and destroy it. We have time to make the save, essentially, and make these plays. Now it's like you have 3 minutes to get the hell out. So, finding Noed at the end of the game is going to be less of a priority for survivors than leaving is. And that's going to help killers because we can get, like, a crutch 1 or 2 sacks. Just because it exists. And, like, if you turn Blood Warden on, then, like, with Noed, then they're forced to stay. And then you can start racking up momentum. And just, like, you start playing the game during the late game and you delay their leaving. Just to, like, see, and then possibly get another person. The thing is, I don't think getting all 4 people with an endgame collapse build is going to be viable. Because, like, the thing about the endgame collapse is, by definition, in order for it to work, an exit gate has to be open. Or I guess the killer could close the hatch, which seems like the best way to activate it because the gates wouldn't be open. But, like, that's also going to be the almost unreliable way to start the collapse because you're not going to know where the hatch is every single game. unless you like memorize spawn locations, I suppose. But well, like it's interesting because, but like I'd say maybe 7 out of 10 games you're gonna be seeing this activate from an exit gate being open. So like the game's already over. And like if you don't have any momentum, survivors can just walk the fuck out, and like the endgame collapse might not even be important to the actual match. So it's interesting to see what their idea is with this, and like that for me makes it think that making a build around it could be viable, just because like you're not just starting the match at the end game collapse. You could have like a fair amount of momentum on some people before your strongest part of the match actually kicks in. Like, I don't know, maybe you could hook somebody and they're dead, and then that activates Blood Warden, and then you had like that would actually be kind of devastating. You can just kind of ensure. It's just kind of interesting. I think a slugging build might be good on the end game collapse. You hook somebody, Blood Warden, leave them on the ground to go find everybody else because they can't leave. So it's interesting to see what killers are going to try to do. I know there's a PTB for it, but like I've been buried in schoolwork to like actually watch footage of endgame collapse matches, which is my bad. I'm gonna get around to it after my like exams are all over and shit. But like, it's hard for me to tell. Like, there's definitely the potential for there to make builds that center around the endgame collapse, and I think future killers might have perks that center around it. Like, so it's interesting to see what is going to come of the mechanic in terms of future perks, because there are perks that can relate to it already. I just can't tell if it's something that we're supposed to make a build around or not, just because, like, again, the game is already kind of over. Or if it's just some kind of thing that, and like, you see, here's the thing. Let me tell you why that's important. If you're making a build around the endgame collapse, you don't need Hex Ruin, and you don't need things like that stall the match, because you're not trying to stall the match. You're trying to get your major points during this endgame collapse. So like, running Hex Ruin would be like flying in the face of what you're trying to do. So it just kind of negates the need for like stalling perks like that. But here's the thing, those perks are also still good. So I think the question that needs answered is like, are killers going to be stronger with the endgame collapse by still running things that slow the game down? Like looking at my build for Plague here, like, like, in terms of the endgame collapse, like, you could replace, I don't know, you could replace Hex Ruin with, Blood Warden, and then replace, shit, I forgot that perk's name. The Plague's build, the Plague's perk that, like, that stops the gens for 2 minutes. I forget what it's called for some reason. I just have had so much work, I'm sorry. But, like, you could replace that with Hex Thrill of the Hunt, and then you have this kind of build that, like, you're still kind of slowing the game down because, like, you're getting, like, it takes longer to destroy totems, and if they want to avoid the end of the game no-ed, they have to destroy the totems, and that will take more time. So you still kind of can slow the game down with Hex Roll the Hunt if the survivors are playing well. And if they, again, but here's the thing, that can still have the potential to fail, because if you just can't get it down, even in the late game, and they have everything operated and ready before you can start building your endgame collapse momentum, you just lose. So it's like, I don't know, it's kind of an interesting thing. I can tell the devs have an idea, but I can't tell what we're supposed to do with it yet. So I just think it's interesting to see where it's gonna go in the long run. I think the long game. I think once we play a few matches with it and get accustomed to like what we're gonna be seeing on typical games, because like here's the thing, like we don't know what's typical yet. Like we don't know if it's typical for the survivors to leave, or because like I don't know. You can think about it in terms of your no-ed downs. How many no-ed downs are you racking up during a match? How many crutch no-ed victories are you getting? Because here's the thing. Like I've had victories with no-ed before, where you just crutch out a match with no-ed. But it's like, okay, I've shown that no-ed is strong enough by itself to not need the endgame collapse. But then at certain points, your no-ed can just fail as well. Like just because like that a few games. You won a few games with Crutch No-Ed. You're not gonna win every game with Crutch No-Ed. So maybe the endgame collapse can help you in that department. Like, here's the thing, like, some people, I think the obvious killer that looks kind of busted right now upon first glance is the pig, because, like, if she downs you and then she can put a bear trap on you, and then like she downs someone, puts a bear trap on them, and then bam, gates with Blood Warden, like, okay, you're just kind of dead. And so, like, some people on the Facebook group are thinking that the pig's gonna get nerfed, which I certainly hope not. Because here's the thing, it's not just the pig that's gonna get Crutch. Like, not just the pig is gonna get Crutch victories from this. Every killer in the game is gonna get Crutch victories from this. So, like, the thing about it is, like, how dumb is it actually? Like, if you get downed and hooked by Nurse with a minute and 30 seconds left of the endgame collapse, like, yeah, but the pig puts a bear trap on you, you're especially fucked. But, like, are your teammates really gonna come get you when they have a minute and 30 seconds left? Like, are they really gonna come get you? And I think that's what it's gonna encourage to do more than anything. I think it's gonna force trades more than anything. It's mostly just gonna be, oh, the killer's gonna get like an extra person just because the survivors have to leave, which I think is good for the game. Honestly, I'm sick of, like, when you, like, have even games and you get teabagged at the gate. Like, fuck off, man. You didn't even win. Why are you teabagging? We tied. So, like, yeah, I'm very sick of that shit. So I'm very glad that you won't have to deal with, like, teabagging survivors anymore at the exit gate. That's kind of cool. Even though, admittedly, I do it sometimes. You know, especially if I get triggered that the killer chased me the whole game. So, like, yeah, admittedly, I do indulge in the occasional butt dancing at the gate as well. So, like, you know, speaking purely from a killer perspective, I'm glad we won't have to deal with that anymore. But, so, like, I think maybe, I also think it can transition over time. I think it might start out as a crutch thing, but then maybe as we get more perks for it down the line, because we're going to get perks for it. As they put more killers and more survivors in the game, the endgame collapse is something that's going to get perks centered around it. So, like, honestly, I think that's going to impact killers more than survivors, because, like, for survivors, like, I don't think the endgame collapse is going to be something they're going to be centering their builds around, because, again, in order to trigger the endgame collapse, they have to win. So, like, they need to, like, make sure they win before they start even thinking about the endgame collapse. So I still think survivors, any perk, they might get one. They might get one that's really good that they run sometimes. But I don't think an endgame collapse build is going to be, like, ever fully integrated into the perk of every survivor in the way that pre-patch Decisive Strike or Self-Care is today. Like, I think survivors are going to have more flexibility, but I think killers are going to get a few things, some support for it that really, like, could change how we make builds. Like, this is a mechanic that has the potential to change how killers do things. And I think that's good, because, like, it adds more variety to different playstyles, which is something the game is incredibly lacking in right now because of the new pipping system. You ever try to play Leatherface? I'm just asking. You ever try to play Leatherface in the new pipping system? It doesn't work. It just doesn't work. In order to play Leatherface in the new pipping system, you have to farm blood points by winning the game early and then letting people live. That's how you pip as him, because his optimal playstyle doesn't pip. Unless, you might get one pip if you kill everybody, but, like, yeah, whatever, dude. But, so, like, since like, killers are really subjected to one playstyle right now because of the new pipping system, if they want to pip, they have to do everything. I think this has the potential to add variety to how we make builds, which is really interesting and unique. Because, like, if killers can, like, make builds that don't rely on slowing the game down, like, for, like, Hex Ruin, it won't matter if they get gen rushed as bad, which I think is really neat. Because, like, just the fact that, oh, you're gen rushing me, but it's okay because I kind of want you to do it so I can really get started. Like I could see, like, a killer perk being like, okay, yo, you started, like, here's what I think. I think giving the killer time. Just looking at what Blood Warden is. Like, Blood Warden is you get it down, and, like, then the exit gates are blocked. I think that's a good perk now, but I think we have the potential to replace it with something better. Like, for instance, here's a perk that goes, okay, Blood Warden, our killer perk for a future release could be something like this. The endgame collapse is now made 5 minutes long, or 6 minutes long. They have 6 minutes to get the hell out, but 3 minutes they can't leave, or something like that. Just like, oh, I don't have to defend anything anymore. My only objective is to kill you people. Like, that would be unique. That might be a tiny bit silly, honestly, but we don't know how we don't know how this endgame collapse is affecting the game yet. Except, I guess some people in the PTB do, I guess. But like, and like, if that sounds stupid, fine. I don't know enough about the endgame collapse to make judgments for it yet in terms of perks. But like stuff like that, like we could like replace it with like interesting things to like help the killer secure downs and momentums. Because if they're, because like, I'm not worried about gens right now. Just the ability to just go, I don't gotta worry about gens. I have one priority, and that's to down you and chase you. I think that can make killers a little more, because I think killers have a bad habit of rushing things, especially early game. Like they're trying to secure it down as fast as fucking possible, and that could like cause them to make bad plays during a chase. If they can like ignore the generators, then some of them might play better, which is I think a perk like that has potential to do well. So I'm just interested to see where it goes, because I think this is a very unique idea, and I like that they're doing it. I think it has the potential to like really change the game, in that the killer side and the way killers do things can be altered. Again, I don't think it's going to alter much for survivors, just because I think their meta is going to stay the same. But like, for killers, I think this has a lot of potential to change how we make builds. It might not do it as soon as the mechanic drops, because there's a limit to how much support it can get within, like, because like Blood Warden wasn't made with the intent of the endgame collapse being a thing. It wasn't made for that. So like, there's a limit to how much Blood Warden is actually going to work with it. I think it's going to be alright, and like, again, I think the pig can be very scary if she can get set up correctly on the endgame collapse. I think, but like, again, is that how better is it than the other killers though? Like, do we really need to nerf the pig? Like, is pig killing people in a situation that like other killers wouldn't be able to? That's when we need to determine if the bear trap needs a nerf or not. And also, it's the pig. Don't get down. You can do that against her. Not being able to say don't get down is just a thing you can say against her, because she sucks at that part. Because she sucks at that part. Just don't get down. The pig is the most kiteable killer in this game. Like, seriously. I guess Freddy and probably post-patch Legion are going to be kiteable as fuck. But like, in a game where you don't really kite killers for the whole game, you just kind of want to get away from them. Like, I think the pig is one of the more kiteable killers in the game, and I don't think she needs a nerf. So, like, I don't think she's gonna be. I don't think the pig would be able to close out a kill. I mean, she's gonna be objectively better at it, but like, how much better? To the point where she needs a nerf? I'd argue no at the moment, but we'll see what happens as the mechanic gets released and more things get figured out about it. So, lots of potential. Lots of potential to change how killers work and do things. Just the ability to say, I don't need Hex Ruin anymore. Because like, I love Hex Ruin. Hex Ruin's really good, but the thing about it is, the perk has objective limitations to it. And so do all these other anti-gen perks. Like, all the perks that kind of slow the game down by messing with how they do generators. Like, all those perks have limitations to them, because you can't make a perk that like is so good at shutting down generators that it's OP. Like, you can't do that. So like, the ability to like alter how we do things, and maybe not rely on those perks that sometimes, because like Hex Ruin can get destroyed in the first 40 seconds and not give you a good benefit. But like, the ability to not need that as much anymore, to secure some kills even if we don't have that. And it's going to be like one of those things like Noah. Even if you don't like particularly make a build around it, again, it's going to be one of those things that can benefit you anyway. So we'll see where it goes. I think I've never been. This is the most hype I've been for something new for the game as I've started playing it, because it's like it breaks the mold. Like it has, like for the most part, new things in this game have just been new killers and new survivors and new maps. This is like a thing. This is like the first instance that I've been involved with the game where we are making something that is drastically changing how it works and how it's played. This is the first kind of change that's going to alter strategy, and I think that is the thing that I'm most excited for about it. I'm ready to see change, and it's going to breathe. I think it has the potential to bring new life to how we play the game, and I think that's what I'm most excited for about it. I think it's enough with the ruins at high ranks. Not enough with them, but like it's time to see some variety, and I think that is the best damn thing about this. And I do not want this to fail. I want this to be successful, because the game needs something. The game is struggling right now, and I think to like give it something new is what it needs. I know it needs a new pipping system, but like ignoring that, the game has been out for a long time, and this is the kind of thing that might bring new life to it and change what we do to it. So I'm interested. I'm certainly hype, and let's show Avengers that they're not the most hype thing that starts with Endgame. Who am I kidding about that one? Oh well, I'm interested. We'll see where it goes. Ciao. Always remember, make your days GG easy.